China is building missile bases that can strike all of Japan while threatening to nuke the Philippines. Vietnam seeks out Israeli technology to help keep an eye on the CCP, and a new China trade war begins. That and more on this week's China News Headlines. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark. Whenever you go online, you really ought to be using a VPN like Surfshark to cover your tracks and protect your identity. I'll tell you more in a bit. And just a reminder to join Operation Honeypot by watching this episode to the end and leaving a like and a Honeypot comment below. The U.S.-China trade war is really heating up. China is adding extra tariffs on up to 15% of imports of major U.S. farm goods. It also added limits and controls on doing business with the U.S. On Tuesday, President Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods went up by another 10% after he already put a 10% tariff on Chinese goods just a few weeks ago. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce announced that its retaliatory tariffs will take effect on March 10th, although goods already in transport will be exempted until April 12th. It's a tariff battle royale, which is simultaneously the most boring battle royale and the most expensive. The U.S. tariff started just a day before the annual session of China's parliament, which was set to focus on economic problems such as deflation. So that definitely makes it sting a bit more. If I had to guess, at least 20% more. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian blamed the entire situation on the U.S. and said that the CCP isn't afraid of threats, just memes. Threats? No sweat, but memes? Make them scream. Which is why you should buy this t-shirt from our website, ChinaUncensored.tv. It's tariff-free. Some analysts suspect that both countries are refraining from making tariffs go up even more and ultimately want to ink a trade deal, which is entirely possible. But China isn't really making it easy for the White House to climb down the ladder. The Chinese embassy in the U.S. tweeted out, "If war is what the U.S. wants, we're ready to fight till the end." As Yoda would say, begun the trade wars have. Speaking of people with silly accents, New Zealand. New Zealand says China has agreed to consider concerns about its recent military drills. Prediction? They considered the concerns and don't care. New Zealand and Australia both held talks with Beijing after it conducted naval drills in the Tasman Sea with little warning, including a live-fire exercise that forced many airlines to reroute their planes. China has insisted that it provided ample warning and accused Australia of hyping up the incident. Because can't your military fire real guns with little warning without it becoming an international incident? Meanwhile, Australia and New Zealand were quick to hold talks with the Chinese Communist Party and said that no international laws were broken. Hopefully they didn't tear their knees with how quickly they bent them to the authoritarian regime walking all over them. Winston Peters, New Zealand's foreign minister, held dinner with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in China and put the drill in the context of wider relations between the countries, which have been growing closer. He even said that, "I think it would be true to say that he took our concerns on board." So they agreed to think about it. Maybe. What a huge win. The EU and India have agreed to step up defense coordination and maintain an open Indo-Pacific. CCP, bringing people together. Last Friday, talks between Indian and European Union representatives focused on connectivity initiatives, trade and investment, security, and defense cooperation. EU Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen traveled to India to discuss the matters with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The two leaders agreed to get a free trade deal between New Delhi and Brussels done by the end of this year, and vowed to strengthen security ties as well. Now, China wasn't publicly named in any of these statements, but given all the talk about maintaining international law, an open Indo-Pacific, and regional disputes, who else could it have been besides China? Or maybe, pinky in the brain, someone's finally onto their plan for world domination. But it's no wonder they're concerned about the CCP. After all, China is building more missile bases capable of striking all of Japan. A think tank called the Japan Institute for National Fundamentals carried out the analysis, which also included satellite photos, indicating that more such bases could be constructed in the coming years. The report also disclosed that new garrisons have been constructed at China's 655 Brigade in Jilin province since October 2020, and that they host Dongfeng 17 ballistic missiles, which carry hard-to-detect hypersonic glide warheads and can hit every part of Japan from Jilin. So that's why Japan has been building those Gundams. Might also be why Japan is pledging further defense cooperation with the Philippines. Once again, the CCP's awfulness is bringing people together. Philippines Secretary of National Defense Gilberto Teodoro and Japanese Defense Minister Gung Nakatani met in Manila last Monday to discuss expanding training exercises, logistical activities, equipment transfers, and intelligence sharing. The CCP has been acting aggressively towards Filipino sailors in the South China Sea since, well, basically forever. And with China also intruding in Japan's waters and airspace, there's only one solution. Quick, hold talks like Australia and New Zealand, and they'll possibly consider your concerns, maybe. In a press conference following the meeting, Teodoro said that both countries reject unilateral attempts to shape the global order, and that in this endeavor we will resist. It's important that this partnership is proof of that common desire to have a free and open and prosperous Indo-Pacific. And again, China wasn't explicitly named in public statements on the meeting, but again, consider the bear in the room. And after the break, America takes back the Panama Canal. Welcome back. After U.S. pressure, BlackRock has struck a deal for ports on the Panama Canal. BlackRock agreed to buy majority stakes in either side of the Panama Canal for nearly $23 billion from Hong Kong-based C.K. Hutchinson. That will put U.S. firms in control of two ports that President Trump flagged as a security concern for the U.S. because of their connection to China.
It's being operated by China. China!
I've missed hearing China pronounced like that. That was from a talk where Trump refused to rule out taking the Panama Canal and Greenland by military force. The Panama Canal is a major artery for global trade, one the U.S. helped build. But Chinese influence could turn it into a weapon against the U.S. That was a concern with the Hong Kong company controlling ports on both sides of the canal. A spokesman for China's embassy in Washington referred to the canal as a neutral international waterway. Yes, they're furious. Speaking of the U.S. president, Trump has announced that Taiwan's Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, will invest $100 billion in U.S. manufacturing.
The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America, and it'll be a big percentage of the chips made by his company, but as you know, they're based mostly in Taiwan, and they're far and away the biggest. There's nobody even close.
That's a bigly endorsement for that bigly investment. The investment will contribute to building 3 advanced chip-making plants, bringing TSMC's total number of fabrication plants in the U.S. to 6, as well as 2 advanced packaging facilities where smaller chips can be assembled into more powerful systems, and a research and development center. It's expected to create tens of thousands of jobs. This means that after the Monday announcement, TSMC will have invested $165 billion into the U.S. economy. TSMC is the biggest chip manufacturer in the world, making components that end up in smartphones, medical devices, cars, and artificial intelligence. As a way of saying thanks, here's an AI image of someone giving the deal 3 thumbs up. And as the president said, that means a lot of the leading AI tech will be made and based in the good old US of A. This is great news for a few reasons. One is that should China attack Taiwan, it'll be more difficult for them to get their hands on critical semiconductor technology. It could also mean Washington would be more willing to defend Taiwan to protect their investments. Considering how many people China's bringing together, they should consider giving up their ambitions for world domination and look into becoming matchmakers. The U.S. also resumed hundreds of millions of dollars in security aid to Taiwan. And can I just say, after years of headlines saying something angered China, it's refreshing to see someone cracked out a thesaurus. And boy, is the Chinese Communist Party annoyed. So annoyed, they held live-fire drills near Taiwan around the same time. Though to be fair, they do this when they feel literally any emotion. According to 2 anonymous officials, Washington quietly unfroze about $870 million in security assistance programs for the island, which is big considering Trump's foreign aid cuts. The Chinese Foreign Ministry warned that this sends the wrong signal to quote-unquote separatist forces. Wow, I'm referencing the prequels a lot this episode. Last Thursday, Wu Qian, a spokesman with the Chinese Defense Ministry, even said this in reference to Taiwan. But China's threats in the region don't end there. It has put the Philippines on alert for hypersonic nukes. Oh boy. You see, China doesn't like that the Philippines has the US-developed Typhoon missile system. Those missiles can hit a large portion of China should war break out, which is why China is developing this new attack submarine in a shipyard in Wuhan. Man, Wuhan is cursed. According to a semi-official Chinese military magazine, this submarine could be outfitted with nuclear-tipped advanced hypersonic missiles that could target missile systems like the Typhoon in the Philippines. That submarine could carry the YJ-21 missile, which travels at Mach 10 speeds with a range of 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers. It should be noted that the Philippines already made an offer to China to address its concerns about the Typhoon missile system. That offer would be the removal of the U.S. missiles if China halts all aggression in the South China Sea. But of course, China hasn't commented on that offer because it has no intention of stopping its aggression. With that kind of behavior, other countries are understandably wary of the CCP, which is why Vietnam is allegedly looking to buy Israeli satellites to spy on China. Another day, another match made by China. Vietnam wants to make the purchase from Israel Aerospace Industries. It secured a contract for 2 spy satellites at the cost of $680 million. Insert internet conspiracies about Jewish space lasers. On second thought, don't. For now, both countries are remaining relatively quiet about the deal. Corruption in Vietnam, including in its military, remains rampant and could cause issues for the deal. But Vietnam, for years, has been trying to diversify its military imports away from its traditional partner, Russia, whose military equipment has been exposed as lackluster in the war on Ukraine. Vietnam really needs to monitor Chinese naval movements in the South China Sea or on its militarized islands. One analyst from India says that these technologies, especially radars, are what Israel is really good at, and that despite the steep price, Vietnam needs its own tools of surveillance. And considering the bear in the room, I couldn't agree more. And did you know that every time you go online, everything you do is potentially compromised? And that's why the people at Surfshark created a VPN that keeps your internet activity private and secure. If you're not taking active steps to protect yourself, everything you do is being tracked and logged by the websites you visit, your internet service provider, and often by your own government. Using a VPN makes you harder to track. Surfshark has servers you can connect to in over 100 countries, more than any other VPN. That includes a server in the British Virgin Islands, where the law allows companies to not log user data. In fact, PC Mag rated Surfshark Editor's Choice for the best VPN for privacy and security. So check out Surfshark. With just one Surfshark account, you can connect as many devices as you want. It also comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so try out Surfshark risk-free. Go to surfshark.com/uncensored to get up to 4 months extra. That's surfshark.com/uncensored. The link is in the description. And before you go, remember to leave a comment below with a honeypot emoji. It's a way to drive up engagement on our videos, and that helps China Uncensored stay strong in the face of YouTube censorship. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.